Hello, this is the Trunica group, and we worked in creating the Notepad application. My name is David. I worked with Raj and Antoninus in creation of this project. So I want to give a special thanks to Dr. Christensen, who helped us making sure our project was successful and also allowed us to think outside the box of new ideas. We also want to thank Brad Lawrence, the CEO of Trunica, and some sources we used in creation of our project were W3 Schools and Tutorial Point. So this is an agenda of how we're going to go about our presentation. I'm going to give a little background of our project, a problem and requirements, how we solve them, a design, and a little bit on the implementation. And also we're going to touch on summaries and future work on how we can improve our application. So a little background. What is Cordova? What is geolocation? What is WebSQL? What is Azure? So first of all, our application was created using a framework called Cordova. So Cordova allows us to target multi-platform devices such as Android, Windows, and iOS, and we can even do others. So the languages we use were CSS, HTML, JavaScript, which Cordova supports in creation of application. And these are the only supported languages. Geolocation. Geolocation is pretty much a radar. Geolocation tells us where we are at the current time by giving us the coordinate, latitude, and longitude. WebSQL. WebSQL is an API that is used for local storage of data into a database, just like a SQL, just like SQL. It's very similar as it creates table, it queries, inserts, deletes, and stuff like that. And Azure. Azure is created by Microsoft. Azure is our remote database that allows us to get data and push them into the cloud where they've been saved, and they can be queried later on by using the query implementations. Problem. So the problem is, how do we know what other people have noted at a specific location? Let's say I went to a restaurant. I want to know what food can I eat here. I haven't been here before, but I want to know what other people have already said about this restaurant, particularly. Let's say I went to a museum. I want to see an artifact, but I don't know what artifact is good to look at. I also want to see what other people have said about a specific artifact or a museum in town, or I'm new to a location. I just want to know where to go. This is where an application comes in. Application allows us or the user to share their experiences wherever they are. Our requirements for the project are as such. Our requirement was to ensure that our application is developed using Apache Cordova. Also, every note that we take has to have a geolocation tag. Furthermore, our application should have a privacy log that allows the user to decide if they want their notes to be seen by others, which is by adding the location to it. When the location is added, that means the users are allowing others to see their notes. Another requirement is to ensure that every note that we create is pushed into the Azure cloud database, which we use in this project. Also, every note should be accessible in a given radius. So let's say user is at point A, um, they want to get a node that's 5 miles from them. So the user will have to select 5 miles from the application, which will filter the nodes around them and give them the nodes that are 5 miles away from them. Also, users should be able to write notes from anywhere and attach a location to it. So this is pretty much a requirement. So a little bit on the design and specification. As I said earlier, the development environment uses the Apache Cordova framework. So Apache Cordova can be used in different environments, but for our project, we use Visual Studio's 2015, which already has the Cordova framework already built into it. So all we had to do is add it to our project. And the languages that were used were HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So for the database, we use SQLite um, and WebSQL for the local database. And for our remote database, we used Microsoft Azure. Our application is split into three main UI. So a user creates and attaches notes, and attach a location to the notes. The notes is published into the online database, and notes should be retrievable with an attached location to it. So every note should have a location when retrieved back from the database. So this is a little um, framework, flowchart of what the note is supposed to look like, the note application. So we have the home button, or the home. So we have the home. When the application opens up, it goes to the home screen. So the home screen has four options, four four options. So three buttons and a list of the notes. So the button for add notes, when the add note button is clicked, we're going to a different page that user can interact to go back. User can click to add location, and user can also click to save their notes to the database. We have the refresh button, which is on the home page, that refreshes the notes. So when each note is created, the user has to click the refresh button to refresh and give an updated note. And also, it refreshes when user selects their radius or distance on how far they want the note to be from them. Also on the home button, we have the setting. On the home screen, we have the setting button. So the setting button allows the user to go into the distance page where they can edit the radius and also have an option to go back to the home screen. So this is pretty much the flowchart of how our application looks like. So furthermore into the design and specification, for creation of our database, our application, we used the Cordova plugins. There were a bunch of plugins which are needed to allow the application to be created. So we use the Microsoft Azure plugin, the Compact Device Geolocation plugin, Google Maps plugin, in-apps browser plugin, MS Adal, the Network Information plugin, Splash Screen, WebSQL, Whitelist, and storage. So for Cordova, all those plugins are required. If the plugins are not in there, the application won't be possible to create, and Cordova won't be able to build them and push them to different um, devices. So this is how Cordova works. We need to have all this in place. So this is a little bit about implementation. So the top image shows the front end of our application when adding notes. So we use jQuery in this part of our application, HTML and jQuery, but jQuery was pretty much the biggest part of creating the front end. So we have the header, and it has some buttons, the cancel button and the add location button, and these are under add notes page, by the way. So this is the main page that has the contents such as the subject, area text box, and the notes area text box. And we also have the location, which is a latitude and longitude in this case. It tells you um, the latitude and longitude after clicking on the add location. It updates it. And the bottom screenshot, it's of our editing notes. So when a user clicks on the notes from the home screen, the user is given an option to either edit the notes or not. So if the user decides to edit the notes, this is the implementation of the UI screen that shows what the user will see, the cancel button, the area for the subject, the notes, and also area for the location, latitude, and longitude, and a save button or a delete button. If the user decides to delete their notes, they will have to click on the notes and enter the notes to be able to delete it. So also, this is a big part of our application. This right here is a very unique code. So the URL is a URL of our application. So when the URL is open, it's gonna tell us that our database is running or not. And this is the Azure database. And the key at the bottom is a very specific and unique key for a specific application, the Notepad application. So this key the tells the application to go to this app on the Notepad database website. So it references to the application specifically. The implementation on the top shows how after the database is created, um, it converts the nodes that were created online using Azure to WebSQL. So how we did that was we created a global variable. We created some global variables such as the Azure ID for each node, the subject, the nodes, the latitude, and the longitude. So pretty much what we did was reference the table which we're talking about. We tell the code, oh, we're talking about this table. So open the table, gets each item in the table, and pass them to a global variable, and the global variable converts them and sends them to um, WebSQL. So WebSQL is going to be local database that's going to actually show the notes on our devices. It's going to show the notes on our device using the transaction implementation for WebSQL. All right, this is a little summary um, of our application and also future work. So our notes application is not just a note-taking application. It also allows users to be able to share their experiences wherever they go. It also serves as a location targeting, and it's also free for users to use. So possible future addition of to our application will be like a filter and report systems that will allow the um, database host to filter nodes that could be pushed into the database after meeting certain criteria, making sure they're not harmful. And also, we would like to implement direct sending of notes so that users can be able to share notes with friends and family directly from the app. And also, we would like to add different forms of media for our notes application. So I'm gonna give a live demo of our notes is. So, so this is what our Visual Studio environment looks like with the Cordova um in it. So this is what our Visual Studio look like with the Cordova interface. So we have the option to push to Android device and iOS device. So the reason why we're using this because we can actually um, go with our cell phones to different locations. So we have the advantage of using Ripple Editor emulator, which is going to allow us to mock our locations by changing the GPS coordinates. So we're gonna run using an Android Nexus S. So this is our fresh application when it launches. Is this is gonna show the list of notes which are already created on the phone. This is the setting button, the add note button, the refresh button. So right now we refresh, we don't have any notes created. So let's go ahead and add a note. Okay, note one, note one. And what do we want to say about the notes? First, demo note. Okay, first demo notes. So right here, we can see we have the location, the longitude, and the latitude, and the save button, of course, on the bottom. So right here, we can see the add lock. Add lock is actually add location that tells the application to update our location based on um based on where we are at the moment. So right now, um, we're gonna go ahead and mark our location. So we want the location to be in Tampa. Since we can actually go to a specific location, we can change all this to our specified or locations that we want. I'm gonna go ahead and enter this. Okay, so this is where we are right now. We're in Tampa. We're in Tampa, Florida. So I'm gonna click on add location. The location is refreshed, and you see this is the location which we just entered that tells us where we are right now. So we're in Tampa, Florida. So I'm gonna go ahead and save the location. The note was created successfully. Okay, and then I'm gonna refresh the page. You see the note is created, note one. So let me go ahead and add another note. And this time I'm gonna change the location to um Brandon, or let's say um USF. No, USF Tampa. It's USF. So this is the GPS coordinates for USF. Okay. So I'm gonna edit the notes and say USF, USF, go Bulls. So I'm gonna click on add location. This is the last location we use. Add location. Location was refreshed. The location was changed. So this says we're in USF. So I'm gonna click on save. The notes was created successfully again, and then I'm gonna click on the refresh button, and it's gonna refresh the notes. So um, let me create one more note. Add notes. Let me create one more. Um, let's go somewhere close to USF, less than, let's say, 5 miles. USF Sundome, USF Sundome. So this is the coordinates for the USF Sundome. The USF Sundome. Gonna add that to our mock location. So USF, no, let's just say Sundome. Sundome, USF Dome. So click on add location. Location was refreshed. It was refreshed. So save. Okay. And refresh. All the three notes are here. So what our app is doing is every time we create a note, it sends it to the database and then retrieves it using WebSQL. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what our database looks like. So this is our database that was set up. This is the one we're using, and these are the notes that were created from the app. So this is the first note we created, the Sundome, or actually the other way around. This is the first note, the Sundome, and the USF note Go Bulls. And this IDs right here are really unique that allows us to able to access each note specifically. And right when we go to the right, you will see the latitude and the longitude of our um, location. So right now, let's go back to the note. So let's say I want to add a note. Um, um, Tests, and I forget to um, put a note in the text box and click on add location, and let's say save. Oh, it says your note wasn't saved. Make sure you enter the subject or note. So this pretty much tells us that we add an empty note, and the note after refreshed wasn't shown. Also, if we leave it blank, add a note, um, and click save, it's gonna do the same thing and tell us that something was wrong with it and that we left something blank. So that was something we made sure we were able to work with. So let's go into the notes. So when I click on, let's say, let me click the first note. So this is gonna tell us what the note was. So remember we for the note first note one subject, the note was first demo note. So it's gonna tell us what the note says inside of it and say, okay, would you like to edit this note? No. Let me say no for this case. So this is the USF. I'm pretty sure the notes for this USF is some Sundome. Gobles actually, Gobles. So when I click on it, it should say Gobles, which is the note of this subject USF. Okay, so do you want to edit this note? I would like to say yes. Okay. So right now, so what this does, application, this number right here is telling us that this is how far we are from our current location. Remember, the current location we're using is 28.059, which is the location for the gym, the USF Sundom. Yeah, the USF Sundom. So it's telling us from the Sundom to USF, we are 0.448 miles away, and this is a note. So this is the edit page, so we can go Bulls, second edit. All right, when I click on save, it saves the note, and we're gonna refresh. When I go back to USF, the note has been edited. Okay, would you like to edit? No, cancel. When I go to the database to see what the notes looks like, it was also refreshed here. So that is pretty cool. So, okay, next step is the setting page. So for these settings, this is the last location which we use. So we have Right now we have it set to a half mile, 1 mile, 2 miles, or 3 miles from where we are. So let's select 1 mile, and it's gonna tell us how far we are. So when we update the location, it should be able to tell us the nodes that are 1 mile from us, right? So USF and USF Sundom nodes are still in the application. All right. So if we want to go back to um, our current, the notes that we already have on the phone already, we just go back to the settings page and cancel and go back. We'll go back to the settings page and just refresh. If we refresh, it's going to bring back all the notes that we have on our phone. So when you refresh, it brings out all the notes. When you go to the settings page and edit this and update the location, it's gonna refresh by giving you the notes based on the distance you created. Also, something about a notes is that let's say the user doesn't have internet connection or access to a GPS at that specific time. So what the user um, can do is what the app is gonna do. It's gonna use a last known location, and add the notes. And that's a test case we can work on fixing, making better in the future. And also one thing, so let's say the user wants to add a note at a restaurant about the experience, but weren't able to enter um, the notes at that time. The user can just click on add notes, add the location. So as you can see, this 25 and 84, this is the current location the restaurant is. So the user can just go back, and then whenever they get home, the user can just open up. Um, okay, let's say the address changed a little bit from 25 to 20, and from 84 to 80, which let's say this is the home address. So the user can just click on add notes, and when user clicks on add notes, you see the location is still this is the home address, and this was the last address. So if I click on add location, the location is going to refresh, but I don't want to because this is the location I was at the restaurant. So the user can go ahead and enter um, their notes. Let's say forgot notes restaurant is pricey. Don't come here ever. All right, and I click on save. The notes was created successfully. When I refresh, the notes is here on our phone. So we go to the database. Let's refresh the database. We can see the notes was here. You see? So that's what the user has to do if they don't have time. They can just add their location um and then go back to the home button. And then when they get home, open up the notes, go to the add notes page, and the notes should be there as far as they haven't updated their new location. So that's our Notepad application. Um, thank you for watching.